next assignment I want to tackle is actually inside the folder called underscore vector mask. And what it actually wants to prove you is that the pen tool, something I don't know if it's Shayla or someone else said, I know, I think it's Selena, even though I pronounce it incorrectly, I apologize. The pen tool is not just for drawing or for making lines, it's for also making selections. So what I did here is I have a file that has 2 layers on it. A girl in the front with a poppy in it and the winter right below. So what I want this girl to show up against a winter background. So what I did is I told you that I love the pen tool. We could have done the selection easily with a magnetic lasso. Means I could go in here and say I can do the magnetic lasso and go all around the girl right now. It does an okay job. In the cusps, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, look, you could do it this way and get fairly close. You can always go in and touch it up with a quick mask and etc., etc. What I did instead is I went in with the pen tool, like I did earlier, with the path option. So if you go in your path palette that is right here and you click, you'll see, in fact, I'm going to zoom in right now so you see it, that there is a little path right there. Do you guys see that line? That line is a path that I created with the pen tool and is loaded in the path palette. If you have it loaded like I do, and you go onto this, and let me zoom out now, onto this top layer, you can create something called a vector mask. So if you click once on the usual Japanese flag, let's call it like that symbol. I know we like, thank you for that. I've been actually broadcasting to all my classes because I think it's a good way, because I never knew how to call it, right, that symbol. But if you click once, it just does a layer mask. What does a layer mask tell you right now? What's that white sheet about? Everything is visible. Why did it create the everything visible option? Because I had no selection loaded. If I had a selection that was active, it would have created the usual black and white thing that we're used to. But we're not aiming at this. We're aiming at the second click on the same Japanese flag symbol, because the second click is going to take whatever is active in the path palette and turn it into a mask. Does anybody want me to do it again? Sorry, I'm going to delete the mask. Okay, so this is the very beginning of the file, and I'm going to click, make sure, first and foremost, that you click on model so that your path is active. In fact, if you squint, you will see that there is a little thin line that runs around the white hoodie and sweater of the girl. Having that active is what you really need to trigger that vector mask to kick in. So first and foremost, we click once. That is the layer mask option that doesn't really do much. And second one, we do the vector mask. Now you can imagine though that if you wanted to, because you're a very bright student, you could combine the two. So if I had actually a selection loaded to start, I clicked once, I would make the layer mask, and then if I had a path active as well, that means sitting in my path palette, I click the second time and you would allow to kick in the vector mask. So you could easily combine the two. Right now I just wanted to keep it simple because I'm just introducing this concept to you at the very, very beginning. Another thing that this vector mask allows you to do is to bring back the layer you just masked. So right now we got rid of the poppies. By the way, the name of this file is Papaveri, because the very first time I taught it was in Italy in 2013, and Papaveri is poppy in Italian, poppies in Italian. So I want to bring back my Papaveri, for example, somehow. So I can bring it back in any way I want. I could go with a pen tool. I'm actually going to use once again the shape tool, because a good way to do it is by using snowflakes, since we're in this kind of snowy scene. So imagine this being kind of an art piece for kind of like a Christmas card or something. So what I'm going to do right now, I just tucked in the layer. I'm going to go into my custom shapes like I did last class with the Smart Objects demo. And on the custom shapes, when I go in here, I have many, many options. And right now, I also have the snowflakes right here. If you don't see them, most likely it's because you do not have nature loaded. Means you need to go in here and let me reset the shapes, the default shapes first. So that's what you probably see at the moment. What you need to do is go in here and choose nature. And what you do is you're going to add to those basic initial one, the nature ones that include leaves and snowflakes and stuff like that right there. So I'm going to pick a snowflake. Then I need to be careful about what I'm targeting. So I'm going to go back into my layer really quick and make sure that I'm targeting, that I am this mask, the vector mask. So I know I'm targeting the vector mask, and I know that I have the right shape. The most important step, guys, is that you do it as a path. Why? What's the outcome if in making vector in Photoshop you use shape? Let's do it. If I actually use shape right now and I create my snowflake, so I'm going to click and drag right now, holding the shift key. What did happen? It creates a shape layer that I don't need, right? Because what I told you I want to do is I want to bring back the poppies. So every time you use vector with this shape option, what it really does is creates a shape. We saw it through the Smart Objects demo. So what I need is I actually need the path option. And I need to make sure that, again, I'm targeting this mask. Now I'm going to click and drag, holding the shift key. And guess what's happening? I'm going to actually switch to a different snowflake. So what this tool allows you to do is kind of have a little bit more creative power in terms of adding effects like that. And I don't know if those are the effects you want, but if you do, that's kind of one way to do it. It would be a lot harder to do that with bitmap alone. I think vector really helped to achieve effects like this one. Now imagine that actually in that layer, in a certain spot of that background, you actually had a detail that you wanted visible, like, certain, element that you want, like there's a little dog up here that you want to show. You can always go with a pen tool to reveal it, or go with a particular shape to reveal it. So you can do a lot more than this. But this is kind of a neat effect you can achieve with vector mask that you would hardly achieve with, you can get there with the regular layer mask and bitmap, but it wouldn't be as easy, right? Because the power of the vector mask is that you have at your fingertips all these custom shapes. Now remember, I showed you the nature ones, but there are banners and awards, film, frames, light bulb, music, blah, blah, objects. I will show you in 183 how to make your own custom ones and bring them in as well. So you have a lot of power, but you have to know vector, you have to know the pen tool, you have to know how to make those vector shapes, obviously, especially if you want to do your own custom one. But that's what I wanted to show you today in terms of vector, is the ability to use vector as a selection tool and use vector even as a mask. Any questions?